Right.
Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. I'm Lucas, and welcome back to our final F122 league race on the game. We are here in Bahrain for the finale of PSGL, where we are doing, as you can see, the last to first challenge, the last to question mark challenge, whatever you want to call it. Let's jump into it. We're on the mediums, doing something different to try and make places. The lights are out, and we get the most mid start in history, which is not usually like me. Usually my starts are actually really good, but even on the mediums I had the worst start ever. But heading into turn 1 now for the first of 29 times, and as you can see we had to be very careful going into turn 1 as there's lots of cars everywhere, and as you're about to see, absolute chaos unfolding. 3 cars getting caught up in a tangle, and yeah, but we're up to P14. Really unlucky for those involved in the collision behind. But thankfully we managed to avoid it. Ruben Progenio going really slowly, I'm not sure why, round the outside of that corner, maybe get damaged or something. And yeah, we're already up to P13 from last, so that was, yeah, we were cooking at this point, having a monumental snap of oversteer. We were on an extremely sketchy setup for this race. I basically took my regular setup and slammed down the wing. I was running as skinny a wing as I felt was reasonable, without losing way too much pace. And as you can see, round the outside of Duncan Hoffland into that previous corner, yeah, we were trying to make the ground well we could. We knew we were going to have a grip advantage. I was running, you know, the car was set up to try and, you know, make overtakes. It was super skinny on the wing. I was very limited on rear grip in this race, but I made it work. The car was nice and pointy, let's just say that. And yeah, heading up the inside of Matthias Van Erven into the last corner, and we are up to P11 on lap 1 from last. We had a little bit of, you know, collisions that helped us out in that situation for sure, but nonetheless we have made the best of it, and we are now heading into lap 2. Going to go up the inside of Ismail Fassi, nice and clean. He gives the room, and there we have it, top 10 at the start of lap 2.
I'll let you buy 1 point, Lucas.
All good, all good. And you can hear there Wilson speaking in the call, saying how he doesn't really want to hold us up, so he's gonna, yeah, let us buy the, you know, the most convenient place for the both of us. But as you can just see the grip advantage we have at this stage. You know, the car was set up really well for these opening laps in the sense that I had a lot of grip quickly. You know, the tyres fired up quite quickly, and you know, the tyre wear was going to be really good. So we were, yeah, we were trying to play a longer game in this race, but it was a bit of a risk, this strategy, because the hard medium is 100% the best strategy to try and pull off. So starting on the medium was a huge risk, but I didn't exactly expect to be in P9 halfway through lap 2, which I think is a very valid point. I was expecting to have to try and fight my way through, you know, all the way through, so I didn't expect to be in this position. So at this point, you know, you start to have the thoughts of, oh boy, maybe I should have went on hards because we've got through the field so quickly. But naturally, that's a hindsight playing, kicking in, or whatever way you want to word it, as we make another position into the last corner. I mean, it's just I've never had a situation like this where we've passed this many cars. I mean, the last time I did this style of alternate strategy was maybe Mexico in F1 Esports, and we gained like 4 places off the start. I think we started P8 and got up to P4 by the end of lap 2 maybe.
Good job.
And then F1 Esports Belgium we did medium hard, and we got into P1 from P7, but that was after like 6 laps, 5 laps or whatever it was. I can't remember specifically, forgive me, but this is like a different level again. This is a lot of cars, and we're only in lap 3, and having Jake Benham ahead of us now, we have, I think, to go up the inside, but we decided to, you know, sensibly bail out. I didn't want to ruin both of our races by doing a senseless dive bomb, but you know, we're in a position now where we, you know, we have to just try and decide what the best option would be when it comes to later in the race when we want to go into the hard tyres. But we've still got some overtaking to do in the meantime, so having a big dive up the inside of Jake Benham, running it a bit wide, which was my fault. We have a small bit of contact, that was on me, but I thought I would go for the lunge. But regardless of whether the move or not worked, it meant that Jake had a little bit less slipstream for this straight, so it meant that it's going to make our lives a bit easier going down into turn 1 as we get the DRS open. No ERS even being touched here, and you can just see in a second the top speed of ours kicking in. We had a really solid car on the straights and still pretty decent pace. I mean, my car was... Technically, I removed some pace from it in the sense of I took so much wing off that I was maybe, you know, losing, you know, a little bit every lap, in the sense of maybe I'm losing a tenth a lap or whatever way you want to look at it. I don't know the exact metric of time or whatever it would end up being, or the exact value of time it would be, but I was very skinny on wing. As you can see, I mean, I was just gaining, and it was such a refreshing thing to have, because usually in the past at times we've been too high on wing. So yeah, this was lovely to have a bit of straight line speed. And skipping on to lap 5 now, we've got our good friend Brendan Lee, who doesn't put up a fight. We use a little bit of energy going up the inside, but we get ourselves one more position. So we're up to P6 now on lap 6 for... Yeah, just it's unbelievable. Like, we just could... I cannot... well, as you can see, even... Well, sorry. Let me just rewind a minute. I've lost my marbles. I've got caught up in too many things. It was kind of mind-blowing that we got into this position, but as you just saw there maybe pop up, Barry, very... Well, just pure unluckily, again, for the second time in this PSGL season, I believe, disconnected. And he was running literally P2 right behind Thomas, and they were fighting for the championship. And this is the second time this season this has happened to Barry, so extremely unlucky for him. And yeah, thankfully he got back into the race. I believe he was in P9 at this very moment, which was good for him to try and, you know, stay in the fight. But extremely unfortunate for him. It meant we moved up one place, but that's not ever how you want to obviously have it happen. Extremely unfortunate. So yeah, skipping on to lap 8 now, we have Otis Lawrence in our sights. He doesn't put up a fight. We just go up the inside, he leaves the room, and we are into P4 on lap 8 from P20, which, yeah, no way we ever predicted this. And now, as you can see, skipping on to lap 15, we managed the pace really well. We did some really good, well, I mean, we managed the tyres well, the car was working well, and with the power of hindsight, now, well, let's get to that in a minute. Nicholas Longay diving into the box, we decided to extend for one extra lap to see if we can just do a one lap overcut, albeit it was, you know, sort of 50-50 as to whether it would be worth it or not. But whether we pitted in lap 15 or 16, I don't quite think made much of a difference, as we had to go into the hard tyre, which was always going to be very tricky to fire up and get the temperature, so we weren't ever going to get an undercut. So I thought, well, let's just do that one lap extra, even though my tyres were pretty shot by this point, but we still managed to purple sit to one with that ERS, so that's not too bad. But yeah, head on to lap 16, we're going to make our pit stop now as Thomas and Danny ahead of us decide to dive into the box, thankfully getting down to the pit lane speed limit. But yeah, I was, with the power of hindsight now, I believe that we definitely should have pitted probably somewhere between lap 12 and 14, because we probably should have tried to get maybe a tiny little bit of an undercut on the cars that were around. But my thinking at the time in this race, without using hindsight, was I wanted to try and give myself the best possible hard tyres for the end of the race, presuming that we were able to stay in the fight, because I knew I was, you know, presuming that there would be a lot of fighting as we come up behind Nicholas now. Which we were always probably going to anyway, so that was sort of, you know, as we were, as he gets past Danny Beresney ahead of us as well. And as you, we're not in DRS either, and we're never exactly going to get into it with the hard tyres. We just have no grip at this point in the lap. We have to take, you know, maybe a lap to get up to temperature. But yeah, the thinking was to have, you know, really good tyres for the end of the race. Usually this isn't the type of strategy I go for. Usually I'm more of an undercut type guy, or that's kind of how it's been. But we wanted to try something different. I mean, we started P20. This is one of the few opportunities that, you know, we ever get to try some adventurous strategy. You know, I spent the entire F1 esports season taking as minimal risks in some ways as I needed to. You know, or at least in some races, you know. Some races I definitely took some risks, some races I definitely couldn't. But that's because we were leading the championship. You can't take stupid risks or do stupid strategies, so this was an opportunity to try something different. But with the power of hindsight, we definitely should have pitted maybe 4 laps earlier and tried to get like an undercut, because the as you'll see throughout this stint, there is not a single lap where these hards were quicker than the mediums. The softer compounds in these second stints at Bahrain are just untouchable. Even if we have less wear, they're just untouchable. Our pace was so quick on the mediums in the opening stint of the race, for maybe like 13 laps. Then it started to dip a tiny bit. So in the second stint, that's always going to be an even longer period of, you know, advantage. So yeah, skipping on to lap 18 now, you saw we obviously got passed by Brendan there, as it made absolutely no sense to try and hold him. But as you're about to see, I was trying to, I was trying not to dip under 10%. I didn't want to start bleeding the battery this early, but if you look here, we are within the DRS, we crossed that DRS beam, and now we fell out of our second once the Delta updated, but we do not get DRS, which I felt quite cheated by, because I was relying on that Delta that we had, which was obviously incorrect by a fraction of a second, like literally must have been nothing. I don't know how, but yeah, that was really unfortunate, because had we, let me give you the hypothetical example, if we bled our battery to stay in that DRS, and with the laps that we've just skipped past there, we probably would have been able to keep within touching range. And there's obviously a lot of fighting that you're actually seeing as well happen in front of us as we skip onto lap 22, with Barry now also behind us on the soft tires, which we'll get to in just a second. But we could have been a bit closer to the cars ahead. We wouldn't have had the pace advantage, because as you'll see in this race, the hards had no pace advantage on these mediums at any point in this second stint, which baffled me given we had such a fresh set. So yeah, that's just, you know, that's, at the end of the day, that's the way it goes. We took a risk. I didn't quite have the memory of what the tyres were like in the race. You know, the last time I done a league race round here was F1 Esports, and that wasn't a league race, that was F1 Esports. So, you know, that was a while ago. But thankfully we're going to get some DRS on Matthias, who was trying to help his teammate Thomas in the fight ahead. But yeah, getting to Barry now behind us. If you want to talk about bad luck, Barry had, you know, it poured for him. He was unbelievably unlucky with this, because those soft tyres he put on were 20% worn, at least. It might have been more, but I'm not sure. That's a question for Barry, but at least 20% worn. But he had a brand new set available, which is, when, I mean, talk about bad luck. He goes for the soft strategy for the end of the race, and the game gave him 20% when he had a new set available. And he actually has, you know, I've seen the screenshot of it, he has the new tyres selected on the MFD. So in theory, Barry should have been flying past us and on a charge to the cars ahead, but unfortunately for him, this is him just sort of peaking off on the tyre now. He's got slight pace advantage at this stage and will do for maybe another lap or so, but unfortunately for him, you know, he would have had it would have been a massively different pace advantage had he had a fresh set. So, and that would have probably helped us out as well, because we would have tried to go with him and the fighting would have happened ahead. So, you know, it was just extremely unlucky for Barry mainly. For us, we would have been like a secondary benefactor. A benefactor? I don't know if that's the right word or not, but we would have taken secondary benefits from that.
Barry's basically on 15%.
So yeah, extremely unlucky for Barry in this situation, because he was fighting for the championship and in many ways should have won it with the way the race was going until he disconnected. But that's just the luck of the draw, unfortunately. So yeah, as you can see, Barry now on lap 24, going up ahead of us now. Both of us are pretty dead on battery, and yeah, because of Barry's tyre deg, his pace advantage was gonna fall off in the next sort of maybe a lap or so. He was still quicker maybe for the next lap, but then after that his tyres really started to nosedive, which is just really unfortunate. And yeah, you can see now skipping on to the end of lap 25, we're going to have to re-overtake him now. And thankfully we managed to get some communication there that Barry was telling us to go ahead, and in a way we could try and pull him along as well with a bit of our DRS, which is, you know, also I guess a benefit. And yeah, we're back up into P6 on track anyway. And yeah, the cars ahead were just, you know, had more battery, had DRS, and you know, the hards were just not quicker. We couldn't gain. So, you know, it was just the way it was. But unfortunately here, Barry missed our DRS by 0.02 of a second. Now, I did not see this. Had I saw that gap, I would have backed off by half a tenth and made sure he got the DRS. That was my fault. I didn't, because I mean, obviously, if I would have been able to help Barry out a little bit in his, you know, championship fight, I guess. And I had a lot of people in chat getting really angry at me for missing that, and I genuinely did it. I checked. You can see me look up to the top left. I did check my gap, but also the car ahead, I didn't. I just missed the Barry's you know what I mean, Barry's gap, which is my fault. I could have helped him out a bit more there. I did apologise to that after the race. But heading on now to the last corner of the last lap. It's not last to first like we did on last year's game, but it is last to P5 after the penalties and all that sort of stuff got rearranged and all that stuff. So it was P4 as it says here, but we got P5 in the end from last. With a better strategy, we probably could have got a bit closer to doing well, but that's just the way it goes. We had some of the best opening laps that we've maybe ever had. And it was great entertainment, great fun, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for tuning in to the video. Hope you enjoyed the last question mark challenge. Yeah, it was good fun. Had a great fun race. GG to Danny Beresney on taking the dub. Great race by him, and yeah, thank you very, very much for watching, everyone. Have a great rest of your day, and hopefully catch you guys in the future for some more videos. Take care, everyone. Love you all. Ciao.